Compliments of the season, one and all. It's almost 2023 and soon it will be the 1st of January and the start of a brand new year. Did you know that the first New Year's celebration happened 4,000 years ago in Rome? The Emperor of Rome, Julius Caesar, was the first to declare January 1st a national holiday. He named January after Janus, the Roman god of doors and gates. Seems quite appropriate, doesn't it? A big thank you to the partners on our show who are truly beyond compare. Skills for Inclusive Growth and Australian Aid, Selinco Life, CDB, The Morning Newspaper, Park Street Gourmet and ZipZip. Thank you. If you like Kaleidoscope, subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn.
Did you know you can open a digital fixed deposit with just 5,000 rupees? Open a CDB iDeposit digital fixed deposit today. CDB, your friend.
Welcome to CDB Snapshot. Sri Lanka's apparel exports increased by 15.2% in the first 8 months of 2022. And more good news, Sri Lanka's tax revenue increases 35% from 331 billion rupees to 1.28 trillion in the first 9 months of 2022. Species of wildlife have been vanishing at a rate not seen in 10 million years, with more than 1 million species on the brink right now. The Great Freeze in the US is seeing the Niagara Falls almost completely frozen. And Kate Winslet holds her breath underwater for 7 minutes and 15 seconds for Avatar, The Way of Water, and breaks Tom Cruise's world record.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Selinco Life.
And here's when we wind down our year with Selinco Life News Capsule. As the year winds down and the economy gears up for what we hope is a positive change in the coming several months, I asked Anushka Vijay-Singha, economist and co-founder of Centre for a Smart Future, about the positives over the last year and key economic concerns going forward. Anushka, what are we optimistic about on the economy as we end this year?
So I think we can be optimistic that the steps towards the debt restructuring, which is essentially the one big thing that hangs over the economy and determines the future trajectory for the economy, not just over the next year, but over the next several years. The fact that steps are underway, discussions have begun, we have the staff level agreement where the analysis around what needs to be done has been concluded. I think that's what we can be somewhat optimistic about as we conclude the year. But also, I think that some of the fiscal consolidation measures have been rolled out. And I think we can be also somewhat optimistic about the fact that at least until now, there seems to be somewhat of a political consensus around some of the key reform areas. But I think these are all, hanging in the balance. And while I think we can be somewhat optimistic, I think there's a lot that could derail all of this over the next 6 to 8 months.
So what would be a key economic concern going forward?
I think the first quarter of the new year is going to be quite challenging. I say this because we yet do not have a confirmed IMF program, and any assistance from other multilaterals is preconditioned on getting that IMF agreement. The other thing that is a concern for me in this first quarter of the new year is our external trade balance. And that's because we've seen exports and export earnings soften a little bit because of recessionary concerns in the UK, particularly, somewhat in the EU, and perhaps to a lesser extent in the US. But overall, these concerns, what's going on in China, all of this is going to have a bit of a dampening effect on global demand. And alongside this, impacts on export earnings, on the import bill side, we're seeing the government have to necessarily ease up on some of the restrictions. And that would mean you have somewhat declining or slowdown in export earnings and an increase in our import bill, which will throw this kind of balance that we've had over the last couple of months out of balance.
And let's see how our markets are ending this year. It's been a challenging year for the Colombo Stock Exchange. The All Share Price Index registered a significant drop of 28%. For both oil and gold, it's been a roller coaster ride. WTI oil recorded a high of $123.7 per barrel in March this year and a low of $71.02 in December, closing at $78.60 per barrel this week. Gold moved to a high of $2,052 per ounce and a low of $1,687 per ounce, while closing at $1,808 per ounce, which was very close to last year's ending price. There's wit, creativity and uncanny skills that have been put to good use to create innovations to save energy over the past year. From nightclubs harvesting body heat from partygoers, to farms storing fruit in cool caves, to apartments being given energy-efficient second skins, and people peddling to light up a Christmas tree, we celebrate human creativity and hope for more of it in the new year. Now, would you like to punch your way out of a problem? The residents of the Peruvian province of Chumbivilcas do just that. They fist fight to settle scores and resolve conflicts once a year on the 25th of December. Up next is S4IG Let's Talk, and today we are taking in different perspectives from different people on Sri Lanka's situation in the past year and on hopes for the future. We are at the end of an year that pushed Sri Lanka to the very brink of hopelessness. But in true spirit, the people of Sri Lanka pushed back with power, spirit and determination. While we have all settled into an uneasy truce almost, it would be good to take a look at the year that was. Take a look at the lessons learned and what 2023 holds. On S4IG Let's Talk today are 4 individuals from very diverse areas. Executive Chairman of Selingco Life Insurance, R. Ranganathan, Vice President of the Wildlife and Nature Protection Society, Zainab Akbar Ali, Chairman of CDB, Alastair Correa, and Manager Graphic Design at Bless Nati, and a person with a hearing impairment, Shenuka Dias Boralassa. Alastair, from a macro perspective, what's 2022 been like?
So Sri Lanka faced back-to-back shocks since 2019, and it culminated in default in 2022. And as a country, we were simply not prepared for the magnitude of the consequences. They were beyond our wildest dreams. So as we are close to ushering 2023, we have entered calmer waters and slowly inching towards an IMF deal. There is also a greater awareness of the trade-off between borrowings and development, a much wider acceptance for the need for reform, despite the extreme turmoil that was experienced. There was a framework to move towards a calmer context.
And what should we be aware of when moving forward into 2023?
We have to move on working through our reform agenda. The window for reform is not going to remain open for long.
So Zainab, from an environmental perspective, what lessons have we learned in 2022 when it comes to looking after our planet?
For me, something that has also been a positive over the past year has been seeing the success of the Preserving Land and Nature Trust plant, which was established by the WNPS to acquire privately held lands for the purpose of conservation. In the past year, our portfolio has grown from 0 to over 1,000 acres been protected for conservation. And these are some of the most biodiverse, rich lands in our country. Hence, preserving these ecosystems is allowing or will allow for a more resilient and sustainable recovery for the country in the future.
How should we play our part in mitigating climate change in 2023?
As I look ahead to 2023, I hope that, and I also have a lot of hope that the conservation education work we do, especially with youth and schools, will allow us to build a future for Sri Lanka that is more resilient and more sustainable.
Mr. Ranganathan, what has 22 been like for you?
The devaluation of the rupee has resulted in a large increase in the cost of maintenance of both IT software and hardware. The lack of foreign exchange has resulted in delays in the remittance of reinsurance premiums to our reinsurers, who have been very accommodative. The staff turnover we are experiencing as a result of migration is still another challenge. The ad hoc levy of super gains taxes has been a very demotivating factor. The arbitrary changes by the Department of Inland Revenue when computing tax liabilities of insurance companies has caused much concern. On the positive side, we have been forced to digitalize most of our manual operations.
And what should we be mindful of in 2023?
We will continue to face similar challenges since obtaining IMF assistance is going to be a long, drawn-out procedure. The IMF requirements are challenging, and the big question remains as to whether the current government has the political will to implement these requirements.
What are the lessons you have learned in 2022 as a person with a disability?
In 2022, I have learned how we look do the and you put like the time next year. I hope to able to learn to try do things to improve myself and to better improve them.
What's your wish for 2023?
Better future duty really yari it very accept very but very hard for having money without difficult that time.
This Christmas, walk into a treasure trove of luxury retail at Park Street Gourmet and be immersed in a gastronomic discovery of fine food and wine. Park Street Gourmet, Colombo's first gourmet experience. On today's Park Street Gourmet Life in 60, we rock around some of the world's 10 most spectacular Christmas trees, a perfect star atop of this holiday season. Lithuania's Vilnius Christmas tree, shaped like a birthday cake to celebrate the city's 700th anniversary, is 82 feet tall and 72 feet wide at its widest, with 700 candle-shaped lights. Rio de Janeiro's Christmas tree, constructed on water, is 278 feet high and is the world's largest floating Christmas tree. Italy's Mount Ingeno's Christmas tree in the medieval town of Gubbio is a 2,000-foot light display on the side of a mountain on pine trees. France's Strasbourg Christmas tree, part of the Strasbourg Christmas market, reaches a height of 30 meters, has 400 baubles and 7 kilometers of fairy lights. London's Covent Garden Christmas tree is 60 feet tall and dressed in 30,000 lights and baubles. And like every year, the tree is handpicked from the same tree farm the royal family uses. The Christmasland tree in New Taipei City, Taiwan, is an incredible installation and is the region's tallest tree. Lisbon's Christmas tree competes for the title of the tallest Christmas tree in Europe at 249 feet. The holiday beacon of New York is the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, which has a history of 8 decades when it was first decorated in 1931. And Colombo's very own vegetable Christmas tree can wear the crown as the most innovative, made from over 2,000 living vegetables. Have a great New Year's weekend and we'll see you next year.